All right, we talked about confidence. Confidence stems from courage. So, how do I get more courage? One is desire. You can desire to have more courage. The second is belief. There is a saying that is pretty deeply imprinted on me. That which is permanent can never be threatened. That which is unreal does not exist. Therein lies the peace of God. That which is real can never be threatened. That which is unreal does not exist. What does that mean? It means that you cannot ever lose the essential. You cannot ever lose what is actually most important. So, what do you have to fear? Everything you fear, which is loss, most of the time it's loss. Loss of your own pride, your face, your dignity, loss of status, loss of appearances, loss of money, loss of fortune and fame. I was going to say form. Fortune and fame, loss of love, loss of life. There are things we are afraid to lose. But you have to believe and know that what is actually real and true can never be lost. Who am I? Me, Belisa, in this corporal form. I will die. I am getting older and I might die at any time, regardless of age. My form is not permanent, but there is something permanent. And you have to know that nothing that happens to this outer form, whether that be my bank account, my friendships, my relationships, my appearance, my talents, my skills, my chess elo, nothing of my external attributes define who I actually am, which is that I am one with creation, with the universe, with everything that ever is and ever will become. You are but a raindrop on the surface of the sea, distinct but for a moment. And then we will all return back to the sea from which we came. That might sound scary to you, but it can also bring so much peace and acceptance and loss of fear. Because what is there to fear if I am one with everything that ever is and will be? Similarly, how can I ever lose you if we were actually connected from the same essence, from the same source of being? When I make you suffer, I suffer. When I make you happy, I'm happy. When I see you happy, I am happy. Even if we're not together, because we are one, we are connected. So there is no fear, there is just love. That is where courage comes from, is the faith in the cosmic oneness, and that we will not actually lose anything because there is only infinity to give. There's only infinity in us. Okay, but beyond the cosmic courage, if we're not that like, whoa, okay, in like a more human, practical sense, how can I get more balls? How can I have the balls to do all those things that you described in the last video? Experience. Knowing that you will not lose anything of importance to you. Because all those things that potentially seem threatening and that it seems like it will hurt, obviously be smart. Don't just go, right? Don't do what I did. There is some limit on like how there's a balance between courage and stupidity. But you know that you cannot actually lose when you're scared that people will judge you, that people will laugh, that people will think you talk funny or that you're weird. Know that you didn't actually lose anything of substance. Because who are they? And what are those opinions and what do they actually mean to you? Again, it's a faith. If you believe yourself to be infinite, as in imagine yourself 100 years from now, what will you be? Nothing. Nothing and everything. So, what do those people's opinions have to do with you? And where will those people be 100 years from now? They actually have absolutely nothing to do with you. So let them think what they want. You put yourself out there, they might laugh, they might shame you or try to humiliate you. But if you know that you are not actually at all threatened by anything that they say, anything that they see, then why does it matter? I think that is why we are so afraid to put ourselves out there. When I was younger, I was very, very shy, or I just didn't like talking in public. I had the most terrible stage fright, which was kind of a problem because I played violin and then I had to first audition for these orchestras. And every time I auditioned, I like was shaking, just terror. I played the wrong scale. Like I was actually pretty good relatively in violin for my age, but I played the wrong scale. I would shake. On stage, I almost would like just not want to move. That kind of was a problem. I almost never raised my hand in class. I hated it when the teacher was like, "Oh, you wrote so well. Let's go up and have you read out your whatever thing you wrote." That was like the worst punishment. It's like, why do you have to tell everybody? Why do I have to read this out loud in front of everyone? I wish I could just sink into the floor right now. But then I had this ideal. I had this vision. I wanted to help change the world because I saw that climate change, environmental destruction was something that I cared deeply, deeply about. And it's something that I really, really wanted to make an effort to change. I wanted to be a leader, so called. And then because I had certain ideas or visions of how I wanted to organize and do activism, I knew I had to put myself out there. I knew I had to get over it. So I forced myself. I forced myself almost every single class to raise my hand. I had them in the beginning was so hard. I would be stuttering, I couldn't talk, I was like a very tiny voice. But I did it over and over and over until the Belisa you see today, who is making a YouTube video and talking to a bunch of strangers online every day, this personality started developing. This loss of fear started growing. But where did that come from? It comes from the experience of repeatedly discomfort and putting myself in those uncomfortable, very nerve-wracking situations. It comes from desire. And yeah, after doing it, you realize it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not actually that embarrassing because it's in your head. A lot of our own attachment, a lot of seemingly very shy people are actually very grandiose. They are so shy because they actually have quite inflated views of their own ego. I don't want to call them narcissists, but there are quite a lot of this is called covert narcissism. But it's actually very easy for self grandiose people to be painfully shy because the more they attach importance to their ego and self image, the more threatening it is to put that ego at risk by potentially being humiliated and devalued in front of other people. But it's all in your head. The reason why it's so scary is because you attach so much importance to yourself that frankly other people don't really care about. It's like, okay, I'm here. I say some things. You might not like it. It might be embarrassing. It might actually be kind of cringe. I looked back at some videos I made back in the day. Some actually went viral, and I was like, damn, that's so cringe. I just want to delete everything. And I did. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But who cares? Like, to me, that could be very awful, embarrassing, awkward. To everybody who watched, who cares? It's just another person out of floating somewhere. At most, they might think about it or talk about it for a little bit. But then what importance does it have? You are not that important. Sorry. You're both very important. There's one saying. Everyone's actually very precious and insignificant at the same time, just like Mother Earth. So precious and so insignificant when seen from the scale of space. When you go to outer space, you see our planet so freaking useless, so insignificant, but so dear and precious. And that's like every human being. So we don't need to feel that important about ourselves. When you give up the need to feel a certain way, to present yourself a certain way, to have to be such and such, I have to be this image that you set in your head because this is my ideal, my vision of what perfect is or what I aspire to be. This is the kind of person I like imagined, whether or not that's like an, I don't know, some people want to be an alpha male. WTF that means. Some people have an image of like whatever image you have, like a self-sacrificing, nurturing mother. It could be any archetype or a caricature or ideal, but those are concepts, those are brainwaves. And all those things will take you away from what is actually essential, which is what we said in the beginning, that which cannot be threatened, which is none of this form, none of the image that we're so busy trying to cultivate and curate for other people's eyes. When you realize that those things are just things that don't exist, those things are not real, are illusory, then who cares if they're gone? When you realize that, you have the courage. And when you have the courage, you will start failing and you will start having confidence.